We're back in a new environment. We're back in a new space. We are definitely keeping up the exact same frequency. Excuse me. Come on, burpee. Okay. We're getting into the second half of the zodiac. We got things uploading. We've been fed. We've been burped. We've been bathed. We are moving straight along. Welcome and thank you for checking in. This is our Saturn Retrograde download pack. We are doing this because Saturn will be retrograding for the rest of the year from, excuse me, I'm trying to, this is like the vibe. Saturn will be retrograding for the rest of the year from July 13th, 2025 to November 27th, 2025. And that's a fat 5-month period of time where we are really going to be focusing again on spiritual surrender, reflecting on responsibility, and building new structures based on the individual that you have evolved into. Phenomenal. I go by the Holy Cow. This is going to just be a psychic intuitive tarot reading about a sort of an overview for you as an individual. Obviously, you clicked on this because the zodiac sign that you saw or the title that you saw resonated with you for some reason, so you were in the right place. However, what I will be doing is I have the last 6 signs here that I have yet to do that I will be doing live for you guys so I can establish a rapport of trust. So you know, I'm not, this isn't pre-recorded. This is who God wants to go next, and that's what we're going to do. And so, yeah, my energy for this is just really I feel for this sign, it's about meeting you in where you are. It's about that silent resilience, that silent strength, that big command, that, that ability to kind of just be in your shitski. And so, yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to be doing. But I just wanted to give you sort of an overview because me personally, I'll be really called to focus on building new structures physically for myself, Saturn retrograde. And so I may not be called to kind of be in this space specifically, really supporting kind of what I'm doing here, archetypal zodiac signs. I don't want to say never, but I know for me, I'm excited to go to the next phase in my own life, and so I won't be as fully working to build up this archive in quite the same way for the next 5 months myself. So part of that is I wanted to kind of give you guys a heads up or some sort of mantra, some sort of work to really meditate over as you go through, this next month, so you can kind of have the right disposition about what's coming for you. So we're going to go ahead and get right to this next guy. And then we're just going to do a classic tarot read. But let's see who we got. Oh. Cabs. My babies. My Capricorns. Are you kidding me? My guyskis. It's so funny because right as I was going to do the Capricorn reading, I came into the room, co-working at the co-working space with my Capricorn lover. And Capricorns. Cabs. Cabs, I love you so much. I'm going to do the Aquarian tarot because I love you guys. Capricorn, what is up, Cabs? I feel like you are at this, just kind of based on what I'm feeling right now, it's you have gotten to this new place where it's you have your energy reserves from building yourself up so much, but man, Saturn retrograde, I just feel you're going to be you're working smarter, not harder. Let's just say that. You're working smarter, not harder, all Saturn retrograde. Because I just feel Saturn retrograde is really about to come back around and give you so much for all the work that you've done. So really, you're going to be like me. The last 6 times I was yow, yow, yow. But now my energy is much more waning and much more seated. I feel I'm on my throne. I feel I'm come here. You know what I mean? So anyway, Sagittarius, what the fuck? I just said Sagittarius. But Capricorn, I feel we're going to just jump right into it. Oh my God, Capricorn. It's super fucking simple for you. Saturn retrograde starting July 13th. You're getting nothing but fucking flowers. You and the partners, the things that you have built your life up with are getting nothing but flowers. And the flowers are coming in the form of a contract. Period. This Saturn retrograde is going to be all about Capricorn taking contracts that give them their flowers. No more of these contracts that fucking put you in the fucking work mill. You're not working your way up anymore. These are things that would just honor you. The things that would be interesting, you'd be interested in collaborating with, partnering with. The very least is do you see how special I am? I feel that's what Capricorn does. Do you see how big the bang is? And I think there's just this huge upgrade in your self-confidence. I think you've gone Saturn when it was station direct. It was you were drilling and drilling. And I think you kind of needed Saturn retrograde to sit back and realize how important you are to the world, specifically Capricorn, how important your purpose is. And I think it's something really personally, it's a personal achievement when you actually coming to a space of like knowing why, like knowing why you do what you do and why you're needed and why you needed to do everything, no matter how difficult maybe your path may have felt up until this point. It's like why you needed to be that way exactly. I just feel that way. It's like kind of the discussion I was having like with my Capricorn earlier, but it's kind of like, you know, you're really being bestowed by the divine very intimately, by Saturn very intimately. Like I had you doing it this way, I had you disciplined this way, I had you building and moving and partnering with this and that and not with that and discerning in these ways, because there was going to come a day like today where you're going to be listening to this fucking message and you're like, holy shit, I'm about to get buku flowers because of the way I did it, because of the way Saturn had me do it, and there was a reason to it. I think too, Capricorn, sometimes you're suffering, and it's like, what's the point? Why am I being asked to do it this way? Why am I being asked to suffer? And suffering's a lot better if you know why you're suffering. If you don't know why you're suffering, you just feel like, Jesus Christ, what's up with that? So it's really beautiful. But I think, you know, off the top of the immediate, yeah, you're about to get, I'm going to tell you right now. Capricorn, I'm going to tell you right now. You already knew. They crucified you. But why did you have to get crucified? Because, bitch, the bitches who get crucified and are willing to go through that and be the example, like, if you get scapegoated in any way, if you're made an example of in any way, baby, the biggest bag is always for those people. And I think the Capricorn energy in all of us is realizing that right now. The part of us that does continue to build and create because of higher guidance, because of, like, that's just where our path is. Anytime that has happened to you, anytime that anyone tries to bully you, make a spectacle of you, tries to belittle you, tries to put you down, again, tries to cast their projections and demons onto you, do you understand how the divine pays you back for that? Do you understand how that's a part of God's glory? That story that tainted you? Because when you overcome that, which you will, Capricorn, because that's what you do, you understand? You're getting flowers for how they tied you up, and you still became a success. This is like the fucking plot twisty. Yeah. And it's not a plot twist to you. This would have been like what you always wanted before they threw the shit stain at you. But it's a plot twist for these people, because these are people who didn't. You weren't supposed to recover from that. You weren't supposed to be. You see how he's trying to overcome? This guy's trying to find any way to get in and ruin the tarot message as we speak. Thank you. Don't do it. You know? But maybe that's why I have a little bit. We're not doing it today. But that's why we have this kind of disposition at this time, you know? It's why I have this disposition where it's like, no, I'm not gonna do too much. No, I'm not gonna do too much. I'm not gonna do too much. You know? I'm gonna be reserved. Because you spent all your energy trying to overcome this, you know? Trying to overcome, you know, the parts where you had to reach enlightenment. The only way out to tie yourself, to cut yourself loose from what the fucking death trap they sent after you, was to find some higher ground, some higher enlightenment. And I just feel like now you're getting all these flowers coming in, but I think this message is about me regrounding you and why the nature of these contracts and these flowers are coming to you. It's because these people see in you this. They see how you dealt with this. This is being suspended in air. This is being suspended by the divine. This is a giant pregnant pause. I know a lot of Capricorns felt like my life was like it's on fucking pause. What the fuck is that, bro? Can it move forward, please? Please? And I think you're going to figure out, your spirit's about to show you, per these fucking ducats and buckets of flowers that are coming towards you, in the form of contracts and partnerships and blessings, that it's going to feel really good when people admire you and love you and want to go in to work with you because they see how fucking resilient you really are, you know? It's the truth. And the other big part of this message that I know you don't want to hear this because you don't want to hear why you were held up, why you were waiting, why you were being patient, this, that, and the third. You know, nobody wants to hear that when they're going through it because it fucking sucks. But the real reason is because it was about you getting your independence. As much as you wanted to blame other people or maybe play the victim, like, they did me like this, they did me like that. It doesn't matter. Spirit will never let anything happen to you that's going to take you up. That's not about your highest good. So, like, even when people throw dirt on your name, Spirit will only let it happen if it still could in some way attribute to your actual independence. So, loser wear. And I'm gonna just take this up in the upright, but it did kind of like landed on the ground in the reverse. And I think, oh, actually that really works out. This is why Spirit had you do this. Okay, Capricorn, I know you don't believe me when I say this, but a long time ago, like I'm talking a long time ago, you were already given this. You were already given this. And this turned into this. Capricorn, you don't know how to move in any other terminology other than commitment. A long time ago, you attracted a commitment. That it was all about as time goes on, Capricorn, because you are technically cardinal, as much as people want to kind of talk to you like you're a fixed sign, like you're always just stagnant, you know, you're always the same and always consistent. You're really not. You're really like cardinal, and so kind of like with you. So I think sometimes too, like people don't really realize that the blind spot with Capricorns a lot of times is like maintaining the stuff they have, because they can achieve high achievements, but keeping a consistent good feeling about something, staying in love over time can be difficult for them. Another thing that I feel like was karmically just to you with the Saturn retrograde is it's like it's gonna give you time to go back, because I think you were working so hard with this partner, but this is like all work and no play. You know what I mean? I feel like that's what it was for you. I feel like when you go into deep contracts and covenants, you're like really looking for the people that are gonna actually like get the work done with you, and that's great to a certain extent. But also, like, you know, you miss out on some of the emotional fulfillment, some of the joy. So I feel like Saturn retrograde is coming back around, because a lot of this, the reason that Spirit had you suspended in the Hangman is because you have to have more appreciation for the people who do build with you. You get what I'm saying? The real you know, the people that, you know, you may not see it all the time, you may not appreciate it. And I think this is about Capricorn, that Hangman, that period of suspension, that period where it didn't feel like anything was growing for you, was because there was something in front of you that you needed to realize you already had. Again, this kind of goes back to like a lot of us already have most of the things that we need or have prayed for, and we're not realizing it, you know. And I think this has to do with like your sacred work, your craft, your partnership, things that are, or your, like, that are part of your sacred purpose. I don't think you realize that like there's not, with a lot of Capricorns, there's not like more to ask for. It's about really like working with what beautiful things you've already achieved, and having enough self-esteem to know that the things that you have are super valuable, because you incarnated as a Capricorn, you know. And that's the only reason Spirit would put you in any of these crucifying sort of situations, because you're not seeing how valuable the things that you were given at birth just by being a Cap are. You came here with the fucking King of Wands status. You came to this planet with that frequency. Yeah, and they're kind of showing me something right now. It's like, you know, Capricorn, some of you also might have been going in that serial situation, but I feel like Capricorn, like if you, be very clear, there were certain, okay, let me just run it back, but Capricorn, there are certain things that are on your highest path. And I think that I can see a lot of Capricorns in a lot of different spectrums, but they were just showing me a Capricorn example, and this is like something that they do. Like, you know, Capricorns follow their heart, they do whatever, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of times, whenever Capricorn gives up on something or doesn't, you know, does that whole like apathetic thing where it's like, I don't give a fuck, I'm just throwing this shit out, I don't, whatever, this isn't real love. I feel like in the past, what it manifested is like you've been speaking and communicating that something isn't really fulfilling you, when it actually really is completely fulfilling you. It is actually your dream. And so I do, because they're showing me a Capricorn, and this Capricorn that I was thinking of in my mind, let's just say this. They got married very early in their 20s, because obviously they're like following their passion, right? And you know, to get married early in your 20s, you gotta really, something's really gonna be telling you like, oh, this person, like you probably, even if it's not completely self-aware, it's like you're probably really moving on like this feeling that this person gives you that someone else isn't giving you, right? That's great. And then they're showing me that this partnership, this Capricorn person, ended up getting a divorce, also fairly early in their 20s. And after their divorce, within less than a year, they're already in another committed relationship that kind of fits the disposition of like, oh, it's a grass is greener type of thing. And the way that I want to respond to that is, and so now that they're showing me that Capricorn now, and their current iteration is like they're with the partner and they're building the life of the person that they post-divorce, right? But they're kind of showing me that, you know, the way that Spirit brings certain Capricorns back around to things is that I think a lot of you, you know, you might have been uncomfortable, you might have been coming from the ego, which is like, it can't possibly be me or my attitude and outlook on things that is the reason that this didn't fail. Because I have a feeling it's like you're saying something that is for you, that is on your path, that was really reflecting you for light and for dark, was really giving you love. It is a soulmate 6 of Cups, right? It is that. It is meant to give you the 10 of Cups. You were saying it isn't possible. You were either on path to say it isn't possible for that to get you to the 10 of Cups when it could have, and the only reason it was feeling this way was because you were like this. You were upside down, ass backwards about it. Because I felt like this morning, like Dennis woke up and he was like, I had to channel to him that I was like, dude, like the exact way that you make music, believe it or not, because Dennis wants to make soulful compositions. That's what he wants to do. He wants to put his fucking pussy meat and his soul in his compositions. And the limitations that we're going through right now, believe it or not, we're not victimized by. God will only be letting us be in our highest timeline and have as little as we do if that was like actually the best thing for us. And so I was having to channel to him this morning that I was like, dude, actually though, like, you have nothing to, there's no studio for you to hide behind. So it's just your soul in your music. Like when people listen to it, it's just like truly the genre should just say soul music, because that's all that's in it, you know? You can only translate what directly, like we're getting his soul direct when you listen to anything off Dolphin Records, and that's what makes it so stand out and premiere, right? And I was communicating that to him because oftentimes he'll walk around throughout the day feeling really victimized because he's a Capricorn and it's heavy on the material part of his life. It's like, I don't have the stuff I need to make the fucking shit I mean, and that's real, right? When he's like, I don't feel like I got what I need. But you clearly do, because this nigga keeps making fucking albums after albums after albums. So it's like, clearly you have what you need, right? And so it's just about him, it was about his perspective. And then after I said that to him, it was like his whole energy, it was like he could feel the flow again. It was like something that he swore was so like, couldn't have been fixed, was like not fixable, actually was like, it was a him thing. You know what I mean? It's actually like, I was just kind of playing victim. Because I wasn't trying to reach enlightenment. I wasn't trying to see how God might have had a plan for why my shit's been going this way. So I just want to say that, Capricorn, because there might be a lot of you at this time that if you were coming out of your ego, because they were showing me that other Capricorn, I want to round it back out to like this other Capricorn that I'm thinking of, like did really come out of their ego thinking like, oh, the problem with that person is like they didn't check all the boxes or they were the problem, so I should just leave them, rather than thinking of how they mirror me. And yeah, and I'm like not giving whatever, but I'm rather than like looking at how we both are on a spectrum of evolution and how whatever's being presented for us might be a catalyst for growth, I'm just considering that they're just not capable of it, and so they come out of union, right? And I think it just has to do with coming from this King of Wands. Because the King of Wands can kind of be the kind of nigga that's like, I'm just interested in making the magic. I'm just interested in da-da-da-da. And I think there's certain Capricorns that it's like the void doesn't get filled. Like you can be like the person that I'm thinking of who went on to another partner even after their divorce, right? And it's kind of like, and you can really tell from the outside looking in, it's like, it's kind of like you're doing the same, it's like same shit, different day, same shirt, different, you know, different weekday type of frequency. But at the same time, I don't really think that when I intuit like this person's real emotions, like it doesn't really look like this is any deeper fulfillment. I think some Capricorns can just like develop a life where it's like they don't have to ask the hard questions, you know? It's kind of that conversation of like not like, you know, it's kind of like a lot of people when you're building an empire or something, when you talk about like the couples that really last a long time, when they're like building something from the ground up, it are the ones who, you know, who build it together, right? And so sometimes it can be easier if I already make my own independence and I just go find somebody else who has their own independence, and like we can just like spend the rest of like eternity or like the day or whatever just doing the like, let's just date and let's just go around. But like at some point the only way to get from 6 to the 10 is like a deepening, right, of the love. And I just was seeing like this Capricorn in my mind is like, you have to think about how much deeper the love is going to get. Like we can always, as Capricorns, take the easy way out because I think we make the excuse to God that we're afraid of the hangman, right? Most Capricorns want to avoid this. And so now they're showing me another Capricorn who like kind of married someone because they had a status that could take them out of their struggle. Like Capricorn, you need to understand, if you incarnated with Capricorn placements, the struggle is your glory story. So this is a big PSA. If you were trying to avoid, you should never try to avoid it. You should never try to avoid the times where they're going to crucify, because actually that's how it's what's going to connect you to a really deep 10 of Cups feeling. You get what I'm saying? It has to do with like, if you did it, because my husband's feeling, he's like, man, if even though I complained maybe the whole way through about how hard my story was and how unique and distinct and weird it felt at different points and isolating it felt, man, it's like he really can't imagine it being any other way. And I just want to see every Capricorn have their shit in their hands as massive and as expansive as this man, because he's a great example. He's also a Capricorn stellium and a 10th house stellium. He's super Capricorn, okay? And so I just want to let you know that it's like, if you try to avoid the hardships of your life, like I'm not talking about just like career-wise, I'm talking about like the emotional trauma you've gone through. If you try to avoid that work and you don't want to dig into that and you want to stay, I feel like right now there's just kind of this like, you can be, I think a lot of Capricorns can also defer to how like attractive they can be, but they don't have the emotional maturity. So I think a lot of you also were going into like trying to make partnerships with people, and we're trying to like connect with people, and your attraction might be there. Maybe you can keep your physique, because it's easy to control the physique, right, or what you might look like on the outside. But then it's like you're getting on these partners, and maybe some of you Capricorns are also like dealing with partners who like, if you're not on the high vibration, like the issue that they're having with you is like emotional depth. You know what I mean? And I could take it from my husband. It's like I had to boost him up. I was like, you're the example for Capricorns nationwide because you actually have the emotional depth, and it's because Spirit actually showed you favor. It was like, the Spirit was like, dude, I'm not going to let you cut corners, Dennis. I'm going to make you do this because I want this relationship with Alexis to feel as good as it's supposed to feel. I want you to have a partner that you can go super deep with, because right now I think that what I'm feeling energetically is there's like a lot of this Saturn retrograde is going to help Capricorns go back, because I think you were trying, I feel this way. I feel like a lot of you Capricorns got the prize before you did the work. And so for those of you who are on that frequency where it's like you wanted to lock in a partner that has the status, but you don't have the depth for them, they're going to come to you during Saturn retrograde and give you the hard truth. It's like, hey, like, I'm not trying to be rude, I'm not trying to say anything, but it's like, you know, you're not actually able to really emotionally fulfill me, unfortunately. And that might make you feel like, what? I did not see that coming, because you thought like this alone. You thought being the most attractive person out alone was going to do it. But actually what's most attractive is emotional intelligence, right? Emotional depth, right? And being connected to your authenticity. And I feel like so many Capricorns right now that I can think of, this Saturn retrograde is going to be really great for you, because it's time, you got the outer shell there, but you have to match the interior as well. You know, and I know that that's what Saturn's going to be working with you to create more substance in your life, you know. I just feel like the universe really wants Capricorns to be much more substantive than they are. And the only way you can get substance is by going through life's cycles. It's like a lot of Capricorns, because you guys want to get into that stability and you don't ever want to come out of it. And I know that. And I know so many Capricorns are like, you're a failure though if you don't have, you know, a certain tax bracket, and you can't buy lunch where you want every day, and you can't buy your partner what you want every day, and you can't shop where you want and drive where you want and go. And I know, I get that, because there's value to that. But because we're breaking up the material world, like sometimes I think you guys might think it's just like, the worst thing in the world is not being in the tax bracket you're in, or the worst thing in the world is not being able to buy what you want, or wearing, having the makeup you want, or, you know, doing the routines that you want. I know, it seems like your nightmare. But avoiding the crucifixion for you, unfortunately, as a Capricorn, it's tethered to how deep love can go for you. And right now, I think the age of the Aquarian is just requiring so much more depth from people. And I think a lot of Capricorns right now are kind of like fizzling out at just being like really surface level individuals because of that. Because if you are one of the lucky Capricorns where Spirit didn't even give you a choice, they fucking put you through the fucking ringer, they hung you up there on the crucifix, you are now about to have this experience where it's like it's like the surprise. It's like, oh shit, I didn't even know that my shit was this deep, but it is this deep. It's like you're getting surprised that your partner is able to say things at this time that can actually like deeply touch you. They're being able to like gift you love, attention, admiration. They're about to show up for you in ways it's like, what? Holy shit, I didn't even know that I was attracting something that well. Like my husband, he really thinks about it. He really has a lot of love for his 20-year-old self who picked me, because his 20-year-old self was actually a lot deeper than I think than he even knew he was. Like when as he's looking back in hindsight, he's like, wow, I must have had a lot of spiritual discernment. I must have had a lot of depth to me, because I went straight for Alexis, who's still housing my 28-year-old body with the most depth, you know what I mean? And that means something, you know? And I want all Capricorns to be able to build their self-trust, because I just feel that way. There's a lot of Capricorns that are going through that right now, where it's like, because of what you tried to avoid, because of like what being at the bottom or being the underdog might make you look like, some of you like avoided that at all costs and just stayed stable, but you sacrificed the emotional and spiritual growth that was needed for you to have a deeper partner than you do. Because I think you might have a fine partner, but I think it doesn't it doesn't necessarily feel specific. Because the Capricorns are showing me in my mind's eye right now, like a lot of their life, it might look good, you might not be like struggling for things, but it doesn't really feel specific to you. And then when you start looking at all these other stories that are going to rise up in the age of the Aquarian, they're these deeply emotional, deeply heartfelt, deep like feeling space oriented stories where it's like the partnership is like, it feels like God came out of the sky. And the only way you can get that is like through deep emotional work and transmutation, through deep moments of like having to overcome, right? Or you know, navigate or hang in there, you know, or having to surrender even. Because I think a lot of Capricorns, they went for partnerships they didn't have to surrender in. And if you went for a partnership that you didn't feel like you had to surrender to, but you could just have, you're meeting an impasse right now. You are. Because they don't have the depth. You want to tell them deeper truths about you. You want to take it further. You want them to know more about you beyond just like how good it can all feel, how happy-go-lucky it can all feel. Because life isn't always that, you know? And then I feel like there's a lot of Capricorns that are just like really out of touch right now, right? Because right now we're going through a collapse cycle in the collective. And so a lot of Capricorns that built the security around them at this time may not really be able to tap in. And so I feel like for the Capricorns that are on the frequency that my husband's on, which is like real alignment with the planet Earth, which is what you're here to be, you know, planet Earth incarnate, you thought that it was like, you know, because you got to come out of your ego, because you might think like, this feels very victimizing. I feel like I'm the only person in the world that's going through something hard. And I remind my husband every day, you know, if you remind me, it's like, Dennis, people are dying. Like, it's okay that we're homeless right now, because there's a lot of people that are completely in this position as well, under the fall of late-stage capitalism, and that regrounds him. But I think, you know, when you build this life where no one can contest you, no one can disagree with you, you're never going to struggle, you're just, you and your partner are just like doing your own independent thing, and you guys just come together and eat and drink and be merry, that's beautiful. But life is about evolving your soul, so even that will just become monotonous. Even being able to go wherever you want for lunch, even both of you running your own business very separately, doesn't mean that it ever feels like your vision was being built together. And I'm just seeing a lot of Capricorn that have maybe even built, like, you could be 30, 40, 50 years into a relationship with somebody, right? And you feel like when you look back over your life, it doesn't feel like we were ever building something together. And I just want to help you know that this Saturn retrograde can be a huge breakthrough for you, because I'm trying to tell you the key to getting partnerships like that would be like, you have to let yourself go through some of these surrender moments, you know, where you don't know how it's going to work out, you know. And this is also seeking out partners where you don't know. I think a lot of Capricorns that I'm seeing in my mind's eye, it's like they're because of fear, they're trying to be attracted to partnerships that it's like, that don't have any risk. But baby, no risk, no reward. That's what I have to say. Caps, you gotta know that. You gotta know that. If you don't risk anything, if the people that you always say you really want the most are easy for you to get, easy for you to hold on to, there's never gonna really be any issues, never gonna be any fucking drama. Let me see, hold on, let me write this for you. You're like literally understanding that. Because even if you got it, even if objectively you're like with someone that everybody would have wanted, like, oh, that's an eligible bachelor or bachelorette you got there, buddy. Even if you got that, if you didn't have to risk nothing for them, if you could just have it, that's what it's always gonna feel like. You could just have it. But don't be surprised when the depth isn't there. And so on the converse, there's some of you Capricorns that are about to be blown away by Saturn retrograde, because you had to risk everything for the love that you committed to. And it felt like it left you with nothing. Or maybe the Saturn retrograde dumped beyond it. You see all these cups about to dump on you too. All the fucking rewards from everything you risked to stay true to what you knew God was telling you, that this is your person. This is the thing you should have fought for. And I feel like a lot of Capricorns, they have a memory. There's a lot of Capricorns where like they knew true love at one point and they let it go for status, for materialism, you know, for security, for whatever. And they always had that regret in the back of their mind where it's like, damn, like, if I would have risked it for that person, like, you know, I know what I got on the other end. I know when I went to the other grass, I know what I got out of it, but I will never know what risking would have transformed me into, you know? I will never know what surrendering to God would have given me. Because I just feel like the material right now is about to be I just feel like being super materialistic right now is about to be super cheap in the age of the Aquarian. Like, just like some of the stuff that you can get, some of the the shit you can put together, it's not exactly gonna really like, it's just not gonna do that. It's not gonna do it for you that way. And so this is a huge thing, because I feel like for my Capricorns that risk everything, you probably went through a period of time where it felt like you had nothing. It felt like spirit, like all his pockets are empty, he shook loose, there's nothing, you don't have anything. All you had was the love. And you didn't have anything, you know what I mean? But the way that you and this person have carved out the deepest feeling, right? That you're about to get to see now that Saturn is retrograded, to go back and give you the rewards of all the things you risked, is crazy. And then there's that Capricorn population that's going to be seeing certain Capricorns like pop out, like, damn, but they'll know exactly why you're being showered with blessings, because you stood on the cross, you stood up and you said, okay, I'm going to risk it all for this person. I'm going to risk it all for this business, for this dream, for my purpose. You know, I could do the easy thing. I could do it how everybody's doing it. I could take, I could borrow from other investors, or I could do the hard thing, and I feel like you did the hard thing. And you attract something with way more depth. Yep. You're recent past 8-8, bro. Right? It just depends on how much work you want to put in. Because Capricorn, it's not that you aren't working hard, but you're in partnerships right now. You're in union with people right now. So I want you to be able to have like this concept of like, when I work hard, the universe is also backing me. These are partnerships that like, they're not just copacetic. They don't just like what you do. Like, oh, like, yeah, you're great on paper. Like, but they build with you. They co-create, because this is like alchemy. This is like, everything I build, the partnerships that I'm with should be able to like also do something for it. Like every time my husband drops an album, like there's a way that Tethered Studios can like enrich it, uplift it, support it, spread it, like deeply engage with it, you know? I'm also like the biggest fan of his work, you know what I mean? So there's different types of rewards that you get when you let the universe align your shit, right? And I'm like using him as an example because that's what I want you guys to start doing. You know, seek those partnerships. Like, yes, they are risky, right? Because there's always risk when you're not controlling shit, right? But I don't think control gets any Capricorn fucking anything that they want in real life, in real time. Because Capricorn, you're too intense. You know, you're premiered. You know this. You know, it's a risk even just being yourself. So, like, you gotta let yourself have that in partnership too, right? Like, you know, the things that are easy to get, like, why do we wait for partnership to be easy? And I get it, because most of you want to fucking break. Your life is hard, right? Like, a lot of times there's, like, a lot of karma. Oh, my God. Right? Because a lot of Capricorns at this time are going to be brought back to that Queen of Pentacles that they knew they should have was really for them. That was aligned to their truth. And yeah, that person, when you met them, you both did, it's like, I feel like with a lot of Capricorns, it's like, you know, you have that memory of that partner where like you guys didn't have anything yet. Like you weren't established, it was just like, it's nothing but the love yet. Like no one had turned into a Queen of Pentacles, but you knew the potential was there. But because you didn't have anything, and then maybe you let the world persuade you into like not going for that person because like, it wasn't clear what the success, what the castle, what the legacy would be at that point of being with them. I see a lot of Capricorns who like walked away or said like that isn't it, we can't get there. And I think you cut off something that actually was supposed to be that 10 of Pentacles, and you went for the thing that wasn't going to challenge you, that maybe like you waited until you got on your own feet, but then you sacrificed building something with someone else. So then the person that's in your life is literally like a +1. That's like what I'm getting. It's like, you know, you don't risk it, you don't get any reward, you really just get a +1 for life. And I think partnership is just so much more dynamic than just like getting someone to accompany you somewhere. And this is the Capricorn in all of us. I feel like this Capricorn message is so huge. Because in partnership, if there's no risk, there's really just no reward. If there's no surrendering to spirit, there is no real growth. Because you don't know how you're even growing. You know, Capricorn, like when you're trying to manage all that, you don't know how you're even going to change over time. So then a lot of Capricorns end up like stagnating their growth. But I'm telling you, there was a lover that was for you because they were a hidden Queen of Pentacles. And no, maybe when you first crossed paths, they weren't there yet. But I think you always look back, you know, whether you got divorced, like the theme of that Capricorn in my head is like, whether you got divorced, like I know you always think back of like, yeah, but I really judged them as if they didn't have the capacity for me for forever, but maybe I wasn't even looking at myself properly, and maybe I walked away and kind of gave them all the flack, and yeah, maybe I'm in something new now, maybe I guess I'm happy now, but I don't have maybe what felt like it was for me, because I feel like there's a lot of Capricorns that have something that's not for them right now. It's generally successful, but it doesn't feel specific to you. Do you get what I'm saying? And then there's like the star pupil, like descendant Capricorn that I'm married to, that's like here to tell you what, he's here to show you the example of like, you bet on the girl that when you had nothing and she had nothing. And yeah, when you 8 years down the line, I promise you, you'll get the attention that you deserve when you're both running the biggest fucking businesses ever and you built them together and you risked everything to have them. It's a different frequency. You feel me? Shout out Dennis. Okay? Because it's just huge. Because he knew that back then all she had was her truth. That she didn't have the physical. Back then when he first met me, I didn't have the nothing to show for. I didn't have Tethered Studios. He didn't have Dolphin Boy Records, you know? He didn't have it. But he had the love. And he had like a really big part of him that was like, this feels like my spiritual truth. And again, I think Capricorn, you got scared. Like there was someone in the past that I'm telling you, it's like a big part of your life. There was a cycle you went through. It was like, it just, you blindly went after it because it just felt right. It felt like your heart was leading you through that. And when you let your heart lead, it brought out a sillier side of you. It didn't bring out the boss Capricorn that has it all together. Because that's what I feel like a lot of you are at right now. It's like you wanted to look like the boss, Big Daddy Boss Man. You wanted to look like that. You know, you wanted to look like the person who had it together. And so then you thought like, okay, go find a partner that will like satiate like the image I want of like me having it together. But life's not about having it together, because you're realizing, oh wait, entertainment is over. Nobody's even looking at us anymore. Nobody's like looking at our Instagram anymore. Nobody even cares. We're not the it couple. There's no influencers anymore. There's no none of that, right? So when all that goes away, then and there's no performing anything, even including your interpersonal relationships. It's like, damn, I kind of missed the partnership that I had where it was like bringing out this other side of me. Because I told you, Capricorn, we all know the truth about you. You guys are goofballs. You're not the fucking big dogs. Y'all are like silly and goofy. You're like always in a silly, goofy mood. And I feel like the people that are really like you're in love with, they always bring that side of you out. This very playful, like lighthearted, jovial, like earthy, grounded purpose and energy. And I feel like, you know, when you are, you know, relating and connecting to people in certain ways, it's like, I feel like we can very much tell with Capricorns when you're going for that partner that just like upholds this like posterior of like, I'm the goal, I'm the prize, I have it together. When a Capricorn is just a deep feeler, like a real Capricorn in a positive relationship is like deeply feeling their way through what it is that they're going through. And again, so that's just like something I want to tell you, because like I feel like my husband is a great example of like the Capricorn that like had that first love, stuck it out, and he's getting the rewards like a motherfucker this Saturn retrograde, like a motherfucker. Because there are rewards from just like the whole 8 years of the shit with me, you know? And you only get 8 years if you do 8 years. It's that type of shit, you know what I mean? And no, it's not certain. Yes, so many times you have to surrender to spirit, but instead of being like, Alexis isn't enough for me, she's my problem, she's not the one who's helping us move forward, I'm going to move on to another partner to see if I can get from them the outcome I want. He always just treated it as like, let me like view this as a mirror. You know, whatever she's falling short and I can't blame her because she mirrors me. And I think that's what you're learning, Capricorn, is like the partner that you went for, you're at an impasse, you're at a standstill right now. Because I don't think anybody could. It's hard because I think this is a materially sound partnership. You're not in need right now. But when you look at the global climate and you look at how many people are going through real things and you realize you just created a bubble around you that's not relatable just because you just wanted that security, I think you're the only one that actually feels like you crucified yourself. This isn't a crucifixion somebody else caused you. This is you crucifying yourself. By making yourself some messiah, making yourself some like perfect person when you don't even need to be that. Because now you don't get to live a life. And you know, people might not think that from the outside, but I know it. I'm your psychic. I'm telling you, like, I know it. You're not like living a life. You know, because just because it looks good to everybody else on paper, you know what I mean? It's like, okay. You get what I'm saying, Capricorn? So Saturn retrograde, I think you have to really confront that, because I think you know the person that you went with, you know, it's like, it could, you know, they can mirror what you want the world to think about you. And that's what I feel. It's like, it's a partner that can like mirror what you want the world to think about you, but you're stuck. Like, you're literally stuck, suspended, because they can't go all the way with you. And then you're watching the people who did follow their heart and like know that the journey's not going to be one way, and it's going to require self-accountability, and it's going to require all these other things, you know, to be able to like continue to happen. But then you look at those people and they actually have it all, and they know that their shit doesn't stop at the 6. Because I think Capricorn, it was cool until we got to the age of Aquarium, but now everyone's going to pass you up, because they don't have a partner where it's like every time you look at y'all, why does it always look the same? Y'all just digging off on a date, doing nothing. It's just routine, you know? You can trade bad routines for better routines, okay? But it's not even just about, life isn't just about a routine, it's about the spontaneity, it's about responding to life, yeah? And so I really feel like that's happening for the Capricorn collective, where it's like you can't avoid that, yeah? Saturn retrograde is about to take you through this portal. Because I think you are going to start to realize they can't give you what you're expecting. You're sitting at your port, but you're never going to be able to come into real union with them. Because I think many of you Capricorn have already learned that hard lesson of like, you know, you wouldn't go up and do it again. Like I said, the Capricorn that I was seeing is like already been divorced, and like it's you don't want to. One of the things about divorce is like it's fine to get divorced yourself like whenever you need to, but it's like it's really important to know that like, you know, you don't want to go up to God and say that somebody is like your divine counterpart when they're not. You don't want to be like getting married to people when you know they're really not. You can't vouch and say like if they really check all the boxes, if you could really spend forever with them. And that's kind of how I feel. I feel like there's a lot of Capricorns that might have a huge pivot come Saturn retrograde. And I want to let this message out, because true destined partnerships, if there's no risk, there's no reward for you. And I feel like Spirit is going to open a portal up for you in the next 5 months, Capricorn, to be able to transition gracefully, to tell the truth to yourself, to say like, okay, I have to recognize that I cannot just build a life around never wanting to break, around never wanting to be hurt, and just like get comfortable, you know, there. Because even if it gives me a short-term gain, there's nothing about Capricorns that's short-term gains. There's nothing about Saturn that's short-term gain. There's nothing about it. It's all long-term gains. And Capricorn, you really only know how to deal in commitment, so you're kind of fucking yourself over by like fucking really pursuing these things that you know, even for yourself, don't have the potential to go all the way deep with you, because you're not aligned enough. You might be aligned to the 6, but you're not aligned all the way to the 10. Right? You're missing 4 cups, which means like it's gonna get boring. You know, because you're going to stay in the partnership long enough and then it's going to get fucking boring. It is. Because it's not about whether we're always rich or whether we never have to face a trial or a tribulation. That's not even it. It's just that, like, we want to be able to keep the spontaneity of life. I want it to always feel like, you know, and then I think a lot of Capricorns, I'm seeing you, a lot of y'all have been performing your attraction as well. You don't want to get there. You don't want to get there. So really take this serious, because if they're not coming to the court now, like, if you can already tell, like, the ship is not coming in from this person, because I can tell I went to this person, this connection, this partnership from this place of saying, like, I don't ever want to live a dynamic life. Like, I don't ever want to have to surrender to spirit. I want to pick this person because I feel like they'll always keep me from ever having to, like, fucking feel bad ever again. You haven't really healed like you think you've healed. And that's why they would reflect it's not a 10 of cups, because you're not at the 10 of cups. You're not there in yourself, you know? You're not fully fulfilled in yourself. So let yourself grow, Capricorn, is what I would say. Let yourself grow. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like what I'm doing for you. You have to confront this. Your spiritual truth has to confront your emotional truth. These two guys and you, your knight, are coming up to one another and they're like, yeah, it's the truth. This is already emotionally stagnating for me. And these are good people, you know, Capricorn. There's a lot of karma that may be coming with the Saturn retrograde, right? Where you have to take accountability for, like, you also can't use people in that way. Like, you can't also just, like, keep people hostage in some shit trying to, like, perform for them all the time, because you really just need them to play a certain role for you, rather than, like, jumping in the ring of life with the rest of us, you know, and, like, being vulnerable. Yeah. And the real good news is because there's a King of Wands that's actually for you. And Spirit needs you to surrender the jig. The jig's got to be up. You got to tell the truth, you know, about who you really are and what you really are, and how you, even though it sucks, we all need the hangman. We all need it at times where we have to be suspended, where we have to surrender to God, because God has a higher vision of, like, what's going to happen, not just in this fucking year, but in the fucking next decade, and the decade after that, and the decade after that. And, like, I tell you guys, Capricorn, you're trying to take on too much. Marriage has to be assembled by God. Divine union, long-term partnerships, business partnerships, whatever, they have to be assembled by a higher power with a higher view, because you do not know where you are going to be in 50 years. You know, but when you marry someone, you're saying you will be for them until you die, however long that might be, right? So marrying yourself to energies through your own ego and your own choice and, like, will is not what that institution is reserved for. Because you literally are setting yourself up for failure. You are setting yourself up to fall out. Or you're just going to sacrifice and stunt your own growth. Like, I know some Capricorn in my own life, you know. They've been married for almost 40 years, you know what I mean? And it's like, in exchange for keeping up the narrative and the lie, they didn't grow for 40 years. And that sucks, you know? Because that's not what your energy is on. And I really want you to, like, look at my husband as an example, you know? We are so transparent about our story because we want people to know, bitch, we didn't have shit together. We came together because the nut was there. You know what I mean? We fucking swiped right on Tinder. You don't even have to have a bigger plan. You just have to be following your heart, genuinely. And it will work out. One of the best things I've ever seen, one of the best quotes is, like, if it's a decision you made from your heart, it has to work. That's the only rule. It has to work. You know, but some of you weren't making this decision from your heart. You were making it from the fucking image of it all, or fucking, you know, low vibrations or whatever. But really, most of it is just derived by fear. Yeah, and you've been terrified to walk away from this person or this commitment that you've been sort of suspended in, because it's not keeping up. Because again, I think you were expecting that, oh, the world would stay the same. Because I think when you went into it, it was like the world was a certain way. So it's like, oh, this feels satisfying. Because everybody else doesn't have stability and this partner gives me stability, so that feels good. But now the world is changing, and it's like, oh, not everybody's unstable. And now the people that followed true love, who maybe weren't stable, are getting stable. So now what's my excuse? Type of frequency? Yeah. Saturn retrograde, the next 5 months is going to spit you back out to deal with this, because you built a foundation, but you're still 9 of Swords. You didn't let yourself heal. You did not let yourself heal. Whatever that may be. Maybe it's like I said, the Capricorn that was in my mind. They came out of divorce, went into another partnership immediately. And I was just like, either way, like, divorce is not light. Like, even if it's something that needs to happen, even if it's important for, like, and even if you made it, you know, made a hasty decision, you need to really give yourself time to reflect and process your emotions before you're just immediately, like, jumping into some new shit. Because it means that the foundation that you're building, the foundation that many of you have built, your current partnership that I feel like is up for review, with was built on the Nine of Swords. And this is a collective thing. I feel like this is happening in like everyone's Capricorn sector. Saturn retrograding right now is really going to make you tell the truth about that. Like, you can't be building a fucking foundation with someone when they actually just cause you this much anxiety because you assembled the relationship, not your higher power. You understand what I'm saying? And I really use my husband as an example. If you really don't know anything about Boy Records or the philosophy, go back on my channel and like fucking learn about it. Because he has an incredible story that is just about how a young man fucking submits completely to God, fucking completely deterring his life. And he wins big. He wins super big. You know what I'm saying? And in the end, he gets to build a foundation even though they sent all this for him. Even though they tried to fucking end his shit. The power of divine love kept him going when nobody expected him and his partner, which would be me, to make it, right? But I feel like a lot of people can connect to Capricorn energy right now where it's like, you know, being scared to follow your heart because of fear, right? And even walking out on certain partnerships that would require you to surrender just because you're scared of surrendering. Like I said, Capricorn, I know you have traumas, right, from your early life. You know, the first 30 years of every Capricorn's life is crazy. You know, and I get that. But at the same time, you cannot let those things, no matter how much you want to victimize, you have to move past that because those things did serve you. You know, the karmic family that you had to address, that cut off, or the toxic friend group, or the toxic, addictions, or whatever it was with you. Like, those things really did actually, like, bring you to who you are today, you know? So you gotta rewrite the narrative. I tell my husband this all the time. Work on how you keep telling your story. You know, because if you keep telling your story like I was always victimized, it's going to affect your foundation indubitably, you know? It'll always affect your foundation. But I want to wrap there for you, Capricorn, because this is what I'm saying. These next 5 months, I really want you to, the most important thing for you is to look at that deep partnership. And if it's a partnership that you know you didn't have to risk anything to get, just know that the reward is, don't expect some massive reward to come back from it. And don't even expect a lifetime commitment from it. Because I think that the next 5 months, if you don't heed the call now, which I think you are just asking me to reverberate, like, just really think about that and just get honest with people. Because I think these are decent people. They're not, again, I think the whole reason you went for them is because they're, like, decent people. Because they're, like, they're independent. I think that's all you were looking for. It's like, just don't fuck my shit up. As long as you got your own shit and I got my own shit, we're good. But it's Capricorn, enough of this, like, as long as you got your shit and I got my shit, we good. Like, you need to build with someone. You need to let yourself be vulnerable. You need to know that you're going to have bad days, that you're going to have deaths that these partnerships need to get you through. You know, hard moments in life that these partnerships need to be able to get you through. And, taking up real estate in someone's life and heart when you don't really have the capacity to reflect back to them, like, all that they really give and do at a deeper level isn't fair to them or you. You know what I mean? But I want to see a lot more Capricorns, like, be inspired to see it. And like I said, my husband's a great example because he's just super fucking Capricorn. And so if you want to see somebody who, like, followed the beat of their own drum and their own path and, like, really won big in life, he's a great person to, like, help you understand, like, what's possible for you on the other side of something like this. On the other side of this collapse, because I'm not going to say that you didn't. It's like you put in a lot of work, you keep putting a lot of work. I feel like you keep investing a lot of money and time into this, but it doesn't really matter because it's like you already feel suspended. You already feel like you've reached what you could reach with them. Many of you a long time ago. Many of you, it's like after the first date, you knew they could give you that, and you got it, and that was it. And it's just been like you've been doing the same thing, and it's not getting any deeper, other than like we align on the fact that maybe we both are in the same industry, or we're both in the same, we're both known at this. It's like some sort of loose level of like how you show up to the world, but like that has nothing to do with your interior. It doesn't even have anything to do with your spirituality or your path, and I just feel like they're not going to be able to come through for you. You're expecting something that's not going to come, because this person's not going to become a husband or a wife. They're not going to become a fucking long-term partner. It's just going to stay at that emotion forever. I'm telling you, I'm seeing a lot of people's Capricorn sectors right now where they're just like in a pool just forever and ever and ever looping. So I really am excited for you guys because I think this message is going to give you the clarity that you really needed. That's what Spirit's guidance is. It's like, the truth, and you need to be able to be mature and communicate that. Like, I came to this place and I don't think I gave myself enough time to heal and sit with whatever it was in my past that scarred me from wanting to ever have to surrender to God again. You know what I mean? But you can't be scared of surrendering to God as that can't be your permanent fix for life, because if it is, you'll never have anything deeper or real. You'll just have complacency. You'll just have stagnancy. You'll just have whatever loose emotion they give you and nothing more. So really something to think about, food for thought. But I want, Capricorn, like I said, I want you to go to deal with these things. These 9 swords are initiations, but I feel like many of you have not let them initiate you. You've just been like stuffing them and hiding them behind your security, you know? So run towards it. Because look how it turned out for Dennis II. Amazing. You know? Yeah, he got called a fucking heroin addict, a junkie, he was sold into child slavery. This nigga's got a crazy story. Go learn up about it. You know? Crazy story. But he comes out on top every time because he didn't play victim to it. Even though people did literally like overnight send him somewhere without his consent, he didn't take it as a he's like, well, it's my life, and that's the best thing a Capricorn can do. Be like, no matter what somebody tried to do to you, be like, this is my life, and you're not going to fucking take credit for my fucking story. So at the end of the fucking day, say what you want to say about me, but Capricorn, you have true love waiting for you, but the true love is waiting for you to not be scared to like surrender to it. So, I'm really excited for you. You wanted the real Saturn message. You really wanted the thing that's going to move you forward, because you already have success, Capricorn. You're already like lit. So I think that's the thing, is that it's like you need, like I said, I kind of said this in one of the last readings. I was like, well, behind every huge CEO, like that really is like moving things forward and moving. I guess I feel like even your businesses are stagnating. You know what I mean? Like you're kind of, you're inside something, but you don't have those big revolutionary steps that you want to feel in your sacred work. And the reason for that is you need a big love to power such a big vision that you have. And so the only reason like I tell you is like able to really churn out huge feeds at this time is just because of how much love I'm given from my true love, you know. And so I really want that for you guys. I want you to surround yourself with partnerships, people, community that really feel that way for you, that you know you had to give something to get these people, but damn, they're worth it, you know, because they actually give you the growth you need over time. So I love you guys. I know I believe in you guys. Take this seriously, play this back, but that's what you can expect in the next 5 months. But I expect to see you guys surrender to that, take that Cancerian portal. There's going to be an opportunity for you to get honest about this and make the course correction so you can come in alignment with the things that are for you. And by Saturday, I want to see you looking proper, because I believe at the end of these 5 months, you're going to feel completely different. You're going to look completely different if you really take this work with the studio. Because I got to go. You know, this 5 months, I'm going to be transforming my own life and doing my own thing. So I really want you to take this serious, Capricorn. Because you're about to see, and that's like I said, that's why it's really important for my husband to come through right now and really rep for the Capricorns, like what being high vibrational and being in the age of the Aquarian as a Capricorn should look like. You know, because you should be following your heart, you should be fucking locked in with God, you should have healed that wound you have with your Creator, and you should be good to go. You know, you should be good to fucking rock and roll. So I'm really excited for you, Capricorns. I see nothing but good things coming for you very, very soon.